On today's primetime local news, the city awards contractor to fix the fifth and final control structure, and it will cost more than $160,000 to fix the stormwater drainage. Farmers could face challenges in the spring of 2020 as cropping the fields could cause delays come seeding time.
We're going to see spring being very difficult for some producers.
And RCMP take on the Holy Rosary varsity basketball team for a matchup to raise funds for a great cause.
A lot of fun between the RCMP coming out, being involved in the community, and the senior boys and girls basketball teams here at Holy Rosary.
Plus, for those panicking to get the right gift for someone, we've got a few ideas for the last-minute Christmas shopper.
Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Council awarded the storm system improvements on Control Structure 5 to Inland Contracting Partnership out of Edmonton. The project will cost nearly $162,000 with a contingency of $24,000. Replacing the culvert, which was constructed in the early 80s, is critical for the stormwater system.
So the culvert that transferred the water from one side of the dam, in essence, to the other, had deteriorated, rusted out, and needs to be replaced. So it's great to see from a structural perspective that we're building integrity back into the system.
And while this completes major upgrades, there is still work ahead to take pressure off of the roads and other infrastructures.
This is the last of 5 control structures to be dealt with, but there's still more channeling work and things like that that have to be done to make sure that we can try and do everything in our power to avoid those situations.
The contingency of $25,000 will be allocated from the 2019 capital budget. City Council also approved entering into a memorandum of understanding that will officially bring the Lloydminster Regional Archives in-house with the city. This will take the burden off of aging volunteers who have run the archives. Operations for the LRA will remain out of the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Centre.
People that have been accessing the archives will continue to access the archives there. If you're looking for information, if you want to make a donation, same place.
And the move is anticipated to have minimal impact on the city's 2020 operating budget. Well, with Christmas less than a week away, if you're behind on your shopping, now is the time to get your last-minute gifts. With the many stores around the border city, it may not be hard to find what that perfect gift is. One locally owned store, Olive and Birch, has different varieties of products for what you may be looking for. They have a good selection for those who aren't quite sure what to get.
Sugarfina is also another really popular line for us. It's like adult candy, so some of them have like rosé in them or champagne. It's always really good. And then again, just like candles, throws, anything that like smells good or is pretty.
And it seems that locally made products are quite popular this year for Lloydminster residents.
Coffee is always really popular. So we have Prairie Lily Coffee Roasters, which is a guy right from town here, Terry. And then we also have Trestle Coffee Roasters, which is a young couple from Marwayne. It's really popular. And then we have like some handmade jewelry from around town and lots of other things too.
And for kids, the more popular toys this year are Frozen and Paw Patrol themed gifts. Well, tonight the streets of Lloydminster will be filled with over 50 floats for the 5th annual Parade of Lights. According to founder and organizer Ryan LeBlanc, those who entered a float worked extremely hard, and you can bet that their display won't disappoint.
People just keep getting more and more creative with their floats. So I mean, it's been amazing to see. But this year is going to be pretty special. There's a couple of entries that I know that people have gone all out for.
And this year they had to make a slight change to the parade route.
We're going to start at 56th Street this year. Last year was 57th. We had to move it up here a block this year, so we're starting at 56th Street, and then the rest is the same, down to 46th Street on Highway 17, over to 49th Ave, then back north to the exhibition here after the parade.
And along with the beautiful floats and fun evening, the Parade of Lights is also collecting donations for 2 great organizations here in Lloyd.
Toys and stuffed animals for the Lloydminster Sexual Assault Services, as well as we're collecting non-perishable food items for the Olive Tree. So if anybody's able to bring a non-perishable food item when they come down tonight, that'd be greatly appreciated.
And the parade starts tonight at 7, starting at 56th Street. Following the parade, there will be a free community event at the Lloyd X, which will include pictures with Santa and the Grinch, dancing, bouncy houses, and one-up game will have their truck for kids to play video games. And now for a look at your weather with our Abby St. John.
Thanks, Judy. Well, it's minus 12 here in Lloydminster with fairly cloudy skies. It was fairly clear today, which was nice to see. 9-kilometer-per-hour winds coming in from the north, making it feel like closer to minus 18 with that wind chill. Across the region in Alberta, minus 10 in Cold Lake, Edson and Red Deer, minus 7 in Rocky Mountain House, minus 9 in Whitecourt and in Athabasca, minus 6 in Edmonton, and minus 4 out in Jasper. And on the Saskatchewan side, minus 10 in Meadow Lake and Melfort, minus 13 in Prince Albert, minus 5 in Saskatoon, and minus 7 out in North Battleford. And overnight in North Battleford, they'll remain fairly cloudy overnight with the temperature dropping to minus 10. And that wind is significantly high as of right now at 33 kilometers per hour, but it will slow down overnight to 11 kilometers per hour coming in from the south-southwest and pick up just a little bit to 13 kilometers per hour coming in from the southeast tomorrow with a daytime high of 0 and a fairly cloudy day. In Cold Lake, they'll clear up just a little bit overnight and it will drop to minus 14 degrees, and that wind will be at 6 kilometers per hour coming in from the south-southeast. However, it will pick up to 15 kilometers per hour tomorrow coming in from the same direction with a daytime high of minus 5 and a mix of sun and cloud. Here in Lloydminster, overnight will remain at minus 12 with that wind at 11 kilometers per hour coming in from the southwest and pick up to 15 kilometers per hour tomorrow coming in from the south-southeast with a daytime high of minus 3 and a low of minus 12 with a mostly cloudy day. There's about a 30% chance we'll see some flurries early morning tomorrow to early afternoon, so definitely be aware of that. On Saturday, it'll be a high of minus 6, but we'll feel closer to minus 14 with that wind chill and a low of minus 9. And then on Sunday, there's a 55% chance of some snowfall with a high of minus 6, which will feel close to minus 14 and a low of minus 9. That's a look at your 3-day forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Farmers are already looking ahead to seeding this spring, but the conditions could cause some delays, leaving producers behind schedule. Eric Bay has more on the challenges they're facing in this week's Ag Report.
Seeding could be behind schedule this year as farmers are forced to deal with the crops still left in the field before they can begin to focus on next year's crop.
It just keeps going on. We're going to see spring being very difficult for some producers with trying to seed and harvest at the same time.
There is a chance that some of that leftover crop can be harvested before spring, but if not, producers will have to look at different ways to remove it as soon as possible.
If they can't get it in the winter, you have to, hopefully they can get that off, whether it be combined or getting rid of that residue some other way. So that definitely could impact or put behind seeding operations, and if they have to do any tillage or any heavy harrowing. So there are some implications there as well.
Growing season can be unpredictable, which means producers will have to make flexible plans if they do begin seeding later than expected.
It puts a lot of variables in, and most of us really aren't very used to that either. So what will happen? People have to maybe change up or make flexible seeding plans for next spring as to different crop rotations.
A wet harvest left canola yields at their worst totals in Canada since 2015. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
This Ag Report is brought to you by the Lloydminster Co-op Agro Centre. Depend on them for product, tools, and expert advice. Shop at your local Lloyd Co-op Agro Centre with branch locations in Lashburn and Neilburg.
An annual report by the Canadian Roundtable for Sustainable Beef says there has been strong growth in its certification program. The report highlights achievements during the past year. The group developed its first outcome-based certification program for beef sustainability in 2018. Chairwoman Ann Wasco, a rancher from Saskatchewan, says they have noticed a 45% increase in the volume of beef sold through the program and a 16% increase in certified farms in the past 6 months. And Farm Credit Canada says the country has room to expand and diversify beyond its largest traditional markets for its top 4 agricultural exports. The most recent trade report says there are opportunities to increase exports in soy, canola, wheat, and pulse crops. However, it says there are hurdles such as growing protectionism and price sensitivity. Canada was the world's 5th largest exporter of agricultural commodities in 2018, behind the United States, Brazil, and the Netherlands, plus China. Now here are your agriculture prices for today.
We're a part of less than 5% of Canadian auto body shops and Lloydminster's only locations with certified collision care recognition at City Centre Auto Body.
Last night, some high school ballers opened up their gym to the Lloydminster RCMP. The Holy Rosary Raiders varsity basketball team hosted them in their 2nd annual game. Last night's matchup saw the Holy Rosary Raiders host the self-proclaimed RCMP Ballers.
A lot of fun between the RCMP coming out, being involved in the community, and the senior boys and girls basketball teams here at Holy Rosary.
You could tell which side had the basketball experience and which did not.
We do it in support of the local food banks.
I think it was a great show. A lot of people coming out, supporting a great cause, getting food over the holidays for people that need it.
Along with the food donations, the game was meant to show police are people too.
And it's just a good way to show these kids at Holy Rosary that the Mounties are people. We like to have fun, we play hard, it's just a blast.
While the RCMP struggled early, with help from a few gimmicks, they started to make a comeback. In the end, Holy Rosary's experience would prevail, winning 63-62.
You know what? I'm so happy it was this close. Like I said, last year was a blowout. So this is just a blast that we got to play a game and play that well.
We could have beat them by a lot. We were just taking it easy on them.
The game also included a 3-point competition where the Mounties walked away victorious. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports. Our Abby St. John, who has the weather.
Thanks, Evan. We'll take a look at our satellite radar. Sporadically, snow is making its way to the east, kind of more northeast, as it's making its way past Lac La Biche and Bonnyville and Cold Lake, making its way to the Saskatchewan side, where we're seeing more activity, whereas the past couple of days we hadn't seen as much. But it's definitely making its way up more north, but it's definitely on the Saskatchewan side, up in Isle Cross and Green Lake and Pierceland as well, experiencing that snowfall, and down in North Battleford, Maidstone, as well as it makes its way through the province. Here in Lloydminster, there's about a 30% chance of some snowfall tomorrow morning and early afternoon, so definitely be cautious about that. It's a small chance, but it definitely can still happen. It should, if it does snow, be lighter, less heavier than most regions as well, so it won't be as heavy. -12 here in Lloydminster, and the rest of Saskatchewan, -9 in Pierceland and in Meadow Lake, -10 in Green Lake and St. Walburg, -11 Isle Cross and in Maidstone, -7 in North Battleford, and -5 in Macklin. And on the Alberta side, -10 in Cold Lake, Marwayne and Lac La Biche, and in Vegreville, -9 in Bonnyville and St. Paul, -6 in Edmonton, -11 in Wainwright, -13 in Vermilion, -6 out in Provost. And tomorrow, daytime high of -3 here in Lloydminster, as well as in Marwayne, Vegreville, and Edmonton, +3 in Provost, 0 in Wainwright, -2 in Vermilion, -4 in St. Paul, -5 in Bonnyville and Cold Lake, and -6 up in Lac La Biche. On the Saskatchewan side, -6 up in Isle Cross, -5 in Green Lake and Pearceland, -4 in Meadow Lake and in St. Walburg, +4 down in Macklin, -3 in Maidstone, and 0 out in North Battleford. And across the region overnight, Isle Cross, Provost, and Wainwright and Pearceland has a chance of some snowfall tonight. The rest of the region is just fairly cloudy heading into tomorrow, and temperatures staying steady around -12 and -10. Taking a look at your school day forecast for tomorrow at 8 a.m., it'll be -7 with fairly heavy cloud coverage, which will be the trend for most of the day, and there is that chance of snowfall in the morning and mid-afternoon. Recess time will be -6, and then by the time lunch rolls around, it'll be -5, and then by the time school is out, it will be -3 and a low of -12. On Saturday, it'll be a high of -6 and a low of -9. On Sunday, there's 55% chance of some snow with a high of -6 and a low of -9. To start your week off on Monday, it'll also be a high of -6 and a low of -12 with heavy cloud coverage. On Tuesday, fairly cloudy day with a high of -8 and a low of -11. On Wednesday, we get our chance of sun with a mix of sun and cloud throughout the day with a high of -12 and a low of -16. And then on Thursday, it'll be a high of -9 and a low of -17 to wrap up your 7-day forecast.
Well, it's all about Star Wars. The Rise of Skywalker is the last episode of the Star Wars saga. So the question was, what are your thoughts on its ending after more than 40 years? I'm I don't know, I'm like this with that because I like the child, aka Baby Yoda. That's all I think about. The rest, I don't know.
I don't.
Oh.
I don't.
That's good to know.
I'm very tired of seeing Baby Yoda everywhere. It's just another one trend that gets super annoying.
Yeah.
And it's popular for about a month and a half, and then it just disappears.
For
Comes
you,
up
I don't know.
every
Speak
once
for
in a
yourself
while.
there.
I've never seen a single Star Wars.
Yeah.
I've seen about 10 minutes of episode 3, I think, but
Yeah.
I was uninterested completely.
Yeah.
But I understand the fanatic behind it.
Yeah.
I understand the large following, and it's amazing how they've been able to keep growing their following.
Of course. And I think
throughout
because you
the
haven't
years.
seen it, that's why you don't like Baby Yoda.
I just want to read one comment. She said, should have ended with the originals, then continued on like how The Mandalorian is.
Yeah.
Setting it in a universe we love, not completing some insane arc and trying to make characters fit. Maybe now they can focus on different stories.
Of course, and of course, Baby Yoda would really like these pets that were sent to us. Check these out for a chance to win a gift card. They've sent the pet pics for a chance to win a gift card from the Pet Pad.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Today I'm joined here with Elise Joy with World Financial Group Lloydminster, and today we're going to be talking about the financial burden or financial planning around Christmas time. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Christmas is known as the most stressful time of year, especially financial wise. So what is the biggest thing, to start out, what's the biggest thing that you see every year from families around Christmas?
You know, the last couple years have been different than previous years, obviously with this being an oil town. Something I'm seeing now is people are going a little bit smaller and they're talking more about spending time with family and how Christmas can be more meaningful and less about the gifts that they're giving. The big difference that we're seeing is there's actually a decline in how many people are using credit cards for Christmas and are actually paying in cash or debit, which is good news because that means that people are thinking financially responsibly about how can Christmas be more about quality time, and let's not put ourselves into debt over Christmas.
Now, when a family or a couple comes in to see you, what I guess is the rundown that you give them when they're deciding how they want to go into the Christmas season financial wise?
Yeah, so there's a lot of pressure, right? Especially when we're in a community where there's such a diversity of different income earners and sizes of families. I know I have 3 kids myself, and so when they're looking at it, people are realistically, there's a lot of budget setting, and it's how much can we actually afford to put towards Christmas this year. Something I see lots of people are doing now too is they're thinking more about experiences with their families and less about toys under the tree.
And seeing as we're in a very large digital age, the tech and the toys that now kids want are a lot more expensive than when I even was a child.
Yeah.
So how can families go around that in case they have 2 or 3 or more children and they all want these expensive gifts? What would you say kind of how they can get around that but still give their kids the Christmas that they want?
I mean, it's tough, right? Because everybody's financial situation is different. And as a mother myself, you want to be able to give your kids everything you possibly can. But at the end of the day, you also have to realize that it's more than that. I actually asked my kids what they were looking forward to the most for Christmas. And my 7-year-old surprised me the most because that's like an age where they're all about technology and everything. And he's like, I'm looking forward to the food at Christmas time. And I think sometimes we need to just sit back and actually ask our kids, like, what are you looking forward to? Not what do you want? Like, what matters most to you at Christmas?
And so when you get those kind of answers, instead of buying them a bunch of gifts around the tree, what are some ways that parents can give them the Christmas that they love without having to break the bank?
I think it comes down to thinking about like quality time and what there is to do. In Lloyd, there's so many amazing light shows and different things like that. Create experiences with your kids. Last year, I know for myself personally, single mom of 3 kids, Christmas was tight. I made coupon books for my kids and I made limits of how many they could use per week and stuff. And so it was different things from like, today we're gonna build a snowman. This time you get to have hot chocolate. We're gonna go to the movies. And so then they still got to have some of those fun experiences and it didn't cost a lot, and that was their favorite gift.
And stepping away from the kids, because that's always the most important part, but then there's also extended family and then buying gifts for friends and all that kind of stuff. So it eventually does pile up with how many people you're shopping for, because if you have to buy one gift for someone, then you might have to get another gift for another person. So what have you seen, or how have you run into that where people just can't stop that list of people that they need to shop for?
I think there's always going to be those people that are just going to keep shopping. But you're seeing lots of gift exchanges and people saying, let's just get together and have a potluck. And it is more quality time based, which is amazing to see, because if you look traditionally over the years, there has been a decline in how much money people are spending. And then, like I said, we're getting less away from using credit cards and more towards cash, which is awesome.
And I guess really quickly before we wrap up this first part, what I guess kind of is your biggest advice when someone comes in to talk to you about, financial planning or budgeting for Christmas?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends when they start thinking about that. The biggest tip I can give is there's this awesome, I seen this last year actually, where you just buy gift cards, like Visa gift cards, every time you're out grocery shopping. Grab $20 or whatever that might be, so that way when Christmas time rolls around, you've already put the dollars out there, and now you can give the Christmas that you want to your family without spending your whole paycheck.
That definitely does add up, and it's always nice to have someone like you kind of guiding these parents on the path of, you don't always have to spend a bunch of money to make a great Christmas. So it's really awesome that, we have advisors like you to help guide us through that.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's that time of year. It's time for you to lace up your skates, go skating at Bud Miller Park as the pond is frozen over. And coming up tomorrow night, you've got a chance to help the Gold Horse Casino celebrate 1 year here in Lloydminster. They've been in the community for a year and giving back in a number of different ways, including helping out with the annual Here Comes Santa Claus. And they want you to party with them tomorrow night. The Dirt Rich Band is going to be there. There's no cover for you to head out, dance the night away with the Dirt Rich Band as the Gold Horse Casino celebrates their 1 year anniversary. You got a chance to ring in the new year and help out the Bee Fisher Foundation with a huge party that they're going to be hosting on December 31st out at the Lloyd X. When you get your ticket, you're in for a great meal, steak and shrimp supper, plus they've got entertainment from Uptown Entertainment, luxury draws, and a whole lot of fun planned for you. And you help raise funds for the Bee Fisher Foundation. They plan to do a number of upgrades and improvements to a number of their homes. If you want to get your tickets, just get in touch with the Bee Fisher Foundation and get set to ring in the new year. And coming up tonight is the annual Parade of Lights in downtown Lloydminster, so make sure you take the whole family out to see a beautiful parade. Things get underway at 7 o'clock sharp. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Klegus, and that's what's happening.
I'm still here with Elise Joy from World Financial Group Lloydminster, and we just talked about ways to budget for Christmas, and now we're stepping into the new year as 2020 is just around the corner.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of changes that are going to come into effect on January 1st. Most specifically, the federal carbon tax is going to go into effect. So you held an event on Monday called Stepping into 2020 with their financial plan. So can you just touch on just some of the topics that you discussed during the event?
Yeah, so with financial plans and discussing moving forward, there's a lot of confusion in the financial industry. There is no shortage of banks and insurance companies around. The problem is there's a big lack in education. And so you talk to lots of people and they're saving money and they've got all the investments set up and they've got their insurance in place, but they don't actually know where to go with it, right? That's the big problem. And so we actually have open houses in our office every single month to try and educate people, because unfortunately when it comes to finances, it's one of the most stressful topics there is out there and people don't like talking about it. Yeah. So we offer once a month, we do an open house where it's an educational seminar so that people can actually come and learn about the products they already have in place and how they can make that whole financial plan better. Budgeting is huge. Lots of people don't have budgets, and that's something that we offer totally complimentary, right? Lots of people have RSPs in place, but they don't actually know if they're saving enough to hit their retirement goals. So that's something that we talk about a lot, is how much money do you actually need to be able to save to be able to retire when you want to retire and do the things you want to be able to do.
And what's the biggest misconception that you have heard from people, you know, who may think that they know how to plan financially and budget?
Yeah.
So what is the biggest thing that you've heard that you go, that might not be so smart, or that's not entirely correct?
One of the biggest things that we're seeing is people are so focused on paying off debts that they forget to save. But the problem is lots of times we just keep getting new debts, right? You keep racking that credit card up, you get another new vehicle. And so eventually you're so focused on paying debts that you didn't save anything at all. And so it's as simple as saving $25 a month. Everything adds up. So you need to create the saving habit and not just be focused on paying off debt. Another big misconception is everybody says insurance is so expensive, but it doesn't need to be. There's so many great products out there that would help a family out tremendously in their time of need that don't cost a lot of money at all.
And now with the carbon tax from the federal government going into effect January 1st, how do you think that will affect families moving forward with their plans?
I think it's going to hurt a lot of families. You see lots of people that are living paycheck to paycheck, and because they've never really been shown how to budget and spend their money accordingly, it's very common that people are living paycheck to paycheck, and so those are dollars that they're relying on. And so in order for them to be able to budget that in, they're going to have to look at their plan and see where you're spending dollars maybe that you shouldn't be. And it's as simple as buying a coffee every single day. That stuff adds up.
Yeah. And so how do financial plans, I guess, differ from family to family?
Yeah, I mean, so it all comes down to you have to figure out what's important for that family, right? I know for myself personally, my children's activity is like top priority, and kids' activities can be pretty expensive. So you need to sit down with the family and figure out what are their major expenses and maybe where can they kind of have a little bit of leeway. It's crazy when you look at a few months of where you've spent the dollars, where you're actually spending them, and people are usually blown away at how much money they're spending on things that they didn't even think was costing them much at all.
And now going back to the carbon tax, how do you think it's going to affect families who already have like a set financial plan already in place?
Unfortunately, I think it's going to affect everybody a little bit, but because those people are already planning, they're going to do the best because now they're going to be able to put that into their plan, and they're going to see, okay, I can free up $10 from here and this from here, and they'll be better prepared for it because they're already thinking about where their money is going every month.
And really quickly before we wrap up, if anyone has any questions or they would like to start planning, how can they get a hold of you and your group?
Yeah, so we have an office just located on the north end of town. It's a beautiful office. We book by appointment only. We have a Facebook page that they can get a hold of us, or they can just give me a call on my cell. My number is 306-821-7908, and I can direct it to any of our licensed agents in the office because everybody is amazing.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming in and explaining. It's super important for families or even singles to start planning because it's never too late or never too early to start planning.
So the earlier the better.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.